Kofi and Amara looked at each other, their jaws dropping in awe. "Baba, I don't understand. You were very sick at the time. I didn't even know that you were ever going to recover. I'm sorry to say. So where did you get the strength to force her down?" Amara questioned. "You're only a small girl. You won't understand. It's not like I was bedridden all through, remember? There were times I recovered a little, and there were times I was down and couldn't even move my body. So she came when I had the strength. She's still my wife because we never divorced. She only left me. I never left her." "But have you told the young girl anything? I mean Zara," Baba explained. "No, Baba, nothing yet." "But how do I break the news to her now that we are related?" Amara asked. "No, don't worry. Allow things to happen the way God has already planned it. Do not tell her anything yet. Let's wait and see how things unfold," Baba advised. "Okay, Baba," Amara replied. "But I'm scared. What if Mommy later finds out that she has been talking to us?" Kofi asked. "She will do nothing. Just leave her alone," Baba said. The following day, very early, Kofi woke Amara up and he was in tears. "Sister, I really wish to travel with my teammates, so what's going to happen now? Is there nothing we can do?" Amara sighed and then sat up. "Kofi, you know very well that there's nothing that can be done. Where are we going to get that kind of money? As much as I really wish to do something about it, I really wish for you to join your teammates, but we don't have such an amount of money," she explained. "So what will become of me now?" he questioned. As tears dripped down his cheeks, his eyes had already turned red and swollen. "You will still be a professional footballer. Trust me, I will make sure of that," Amara said with a hand on her chest, and Kofi nodded, wiping his tears with the back of his palm, stood up and then walked away. "Where are you going?" she asked him, but he ignored her and then shut the door behind him. Amara laid back, and after about an hour, she got up, prepared breakfast before going to her stall. Kofi still wasn't back by the time she left, and she was at her stall thinking about where he must have gone. Some few hours later, Kofi came to her stall and she was so shocked as soon as she saw him. "Where have you been?" "Nowhere. I just needed to be alone, so I went to church," he said, and she grabbed his hand. "There's nothing too big for God to do. God knows that we have no money, but if he wants you to go, he'll surely send help," she said, and immediately a car parked before them, and a young man came down and started to walk towards them. "Good afternoon," he said, and Amara replied and also stood up immediately. "What do you want to buy, sir?" she asked. "No, nothing," he said with a smile, raising a hand mid-air. Zara asked me to give you this," he said, dipping his hand into the bag he was carrying, and then brought out an envelope. Amara took it, waited for him to leave before opening it, but she was there pondering on what it could be because the envelope actually appeared so thick. As soon as the young man left, they opened the sealed envelope with curiosity, and lo and behold, it was money and a note. Amara brought out the note, which read, "In here is 500,000 naira. It's actually my life savings, but I feel you need it more than I do." And immediately, Kofi screamed, but she immediately covered his mouth and started to look around. "Are you insane? What is wrong with you?" she said, and he burst into laughter. "Sorry," he said with a grin, waving a hand. "Oh God, thank you." He screamed on his knees, and before he would start creating a scene, she quickly began to pack up, and as soon as she was done, they headed home. They brought out the money and showed Baba, but he warned them never to touch it, and that he needed to see Zara to ask her a few questions before they could touch it. But Kofi wasn't okay with his decision, and he slept so angry that night. The following day, Kofi begged Amara on his knees to allow them pay the 200,000 naira so he could travel with his teammates without telling Baba, and she gave in. They paid the money, and the following day, while she was at her business place, Mommy came with the guy that brought the money to them in company of 2 police officers. Mommy was walking towards them and looking so shocked, and then removed the glasses she was wearing slowly. "What is happening here?" she asked, and Amara looked at her from head to toe. "Is she the one?" asked one of the police officers, and the young man nodded. "Young lady, you're under arrest for defrauding a minor," the other officer said, and Amara stood there shocked with mouth agape. "I don't understand. Defrauding a minor how?" Amara questioned, looking at the police officers one after the other. "Wait, is she the one?" Mommy asked the young man, pointing at Amara in the process, and the young man again nodded. "How dare you?" "Wait, how did you know my daughter?" Mommy questioned, but Amara ignored her, bowing her head. So a little child brought a huge amount of money to you, and you took it without asking her where she got the money. You're just as gullible as your wretched father, Mommy raged. Excuse me, did I force her to give me the money? I never asked her to give me money in the first place, and please, I won't have you insult my father. You used to do that in the past, and I used to swallow every insult from you without a word, but not anymore, Amara retorted. What? Mommy exclaimed, took a few steps forward, and then landed a slap on Amara's face. Now turn around, and let's go to that miserable house of yours. I need that money back, untouched. Immediately, Amara's heart started racing so fast as she stood there thinking about what to say after giving her the remaining money. What would she say she did with the money? And how was Baba even going to take it after finding out that they had touched the money? Move, one of the police officers said, pushing her, and as she turned and proceeded home, she started to hear her name. She turned, and lo and behold, it was Zara. What are you doing here? Now leave and return home, Mommy raged, but Zara ignored her and came to Amara. I'm so sorry for putting you through all this. I never told my mom about the money, but I didn't know how she found out, Zara said. Amara looked at her, and when she was sure that Zara was staring back, she sighed. Our mom, she said, and as soon as Mommy heard that, she began to stutter and then asked the officers to leave, while she called on Zara to allow them return home. No, let me finish, Amara barked. Zara, let's leave here now. Do not listen to her. She has done more than enough already, Mommy said, dragging Zara by the hand. No, you can leave. I need to hear what she has to say, said Zara, and Mommy immediately began to pace back and forth. Officers, I'm no longer interested in this case. Ask her to go. I need to take my daughter home. Madam, she actually has the right to say whatever she has to say. Please allow her speak, one of the officers said, and Amara became a bit relieved while Mommy stood there visibly shaking. Amara then looked at her and at Zara. Ask her, she knows me very, very well, even before you were born, she said to Zara. I don't understand, Zara replied. Zara, we must leave now, Mommy said, now using force on Zara. Madam, at least allow her to hear what the older girl has to say. This is not right, said an officer, and Mommy paused again, feigning a smile. She's our mother, that's why we look alike this much. Can't you see our birthmarks? Amara said, showing her birthmark, and Zara too, folded her sleeve and revealed hers. The officers stood there so amazed, while Mommy placed both hands on her head. That haggard, poor-looking, dirty man you met the other day at our house is actually your real father, our father. Mommy here left him and abandoned him when he lost his job, treated my younger brother and I, her children, like trash, absconded with and married our father's boss, who she claims is your father, Amara explained. No, that's not true. I don't believe that. That's a lie, Zara said with a hand on her chest, already looking so shocked. You can ask your mother here, because she stopped being my mother a long, long time ago, Amara replied. No, please, with all due respect, stop accusing my mother falsely. That is one thing I won't take from anybody, Zara pleaded. Well, my darling, your mother is here. Why not ask her, Amara said. And Zara turned swiftly, now facing her mother. The police officers already stood there with their mouths agape and their hands behind them, waiting for the full story while Mommy stood already fidgeting. Zara turned facing Mommy with a dropped jaw and then pointed at Amara. Mommy, please make me understand. Is all she said true? No, I mean, Mommy stuttered, and right before their very eyes, she took to her heels, running away from the scene. Zara broke down, fell on her knees and began to wail, while the police officers stood there confusedly. You mean Mommy has been hiding all this from us? Zara asked rhetorically amidst tears. But Amara went to her and drew her close to herself, giving her a very tight hug. The police officers immediately turned and left them without a word, while Amara stood Zara up and then took her home. It's okay, all is well, Amara only managed to say, wiping Zara's tears with the back of her hand as they both sat facing each other in their living room. And then Baba, who had been sleeping, walked into the living room with hands behind him. What is happening here? He asked, looked at Zara and then at Amara. Baba, Amara said, standing up, I made Mommy confess somehow to her that the father she knows as her father isn't actually her real father. What? How did you do that? Baba queried curiously with popped eyes, and then Zara stood up and started walking slowly to Baba, while Baba quickly reached out and hugged her. If I had known about your existence before now, I would have fought tooth and nail to rightfully have you. I never wished for things to happen this way, Baba said as tears dripped down his face. A few hours later, it was already getting late. Amara told Zara to return home in case they would be there looking for her, and then return the following day. But she refused, adding that she was going to be staying with them henceforth, and Baba too agreed. While they were making dinner together at the backyard, Zara couldn't stop staring at Amara and smiling to herself, while Baba too was coming often to ask her if she needed anything, but she would reply with a smile, telling them that she was okay. When Kofi arrived from the field that evening to meet Zara, he was so amazed that his jaw dropped in awe because it was already late. He paused, staring at her, and Amara could tell what was running through his mind on setting eyes on her. "Good evening," Zara greeted him with a smile, and Kofi finally composed himself and walked to them slowly, looking at Amara, expecting her to already start saying what he needed to hear. "Good evening," he replied, smiling back. "Sis, what's going on?" Kofi asked Amara. "My dear, your blood sister is finally home," Amara said excitedly. "I don't understand. Please rephrase," Kofi said, looking so shocked. "But how?" he added. Amara sat him down and told him everything that happened. He was so amazed and as well elated. "Well, let's just say it's double good news," he said. "Double good news? Which one is the second one?" Amara asked. He sighed with head bowed and then shook his head. "I'll tell you guys when we are having dinner," he said, walking away into the bedroom, and Zara and Amara turned and looked at each other, and they shrugged their shoulders with giggles. During dinner, as soon as they dropped the food on the table, Kofi was already seated next to Baba, so Amara quickly sat while Zara sat next to her. "Tell me, what's the other good news?" Amara asked, and he again sighed, sitting up. "Baba and everyone here, I'll be traveling tomorrow morning," he said soberly. "Traveling to where?" Amara queried. "England," he said. "Traveling to England tomorrow morning? I don't understand," Baba exclaimed, sitting up. "Actually, Baba, we are to leave for Lagos tomorrow morning, from there to England," Kofi explained. "Just like that?" Baba exclaimed again. "I thought they said that the selected ones should pay a certain amount of money." "Wow, have you seen what I was telling you about? I told you that God was going to do it, and he has done it. Did you even pay a dime before you were chosen to travel with them?" "That's what I'm talking about," Baba said, grinning from ear to ear, while Kofi and Amara turned and looked at each other. "But they said month end before you guys travel." "So how come it's tomorrow?" Amara questioned. "Well, things changed," Kofi said. Baba, we actually touched the money. That's how we were able to pay the 200,000 naira, Amara said calmly. Baba was so disappointed on hearing that and warned them never to try such again. Well, the following morning, Kofi left and Baba and Amara were in tears because they had all become so fond of each other. Like some few days later, they were at home when some police officers visited. They were inside the house when they suddenly heard knocks on their front door. "Yes," Amara said, so the person or people knocking would know that someone was in, but she decided to peep through the window first to see who it was. And to her surprise, they were police officers. She stepped back immediately and she hurried into the bedroom to call Baba, who was with Zara, telling her stories about their lineage. "What is it?" he asked, staring sternly at her, and she pointed towards the front door. But before she could speak, there came a very loud bang on the door. "Go and check who the person is before he or she brings down the door," Baba added. "Baba, police officers," Amara said, and Baba stood up immediately. "Police officers?" he queried, wearing his slippers with eyes glued to her, and she nodded, fidgeting, rubbing her palms together. "I can see that your mother is at it again," Baba added, hurrying out of the bedroom, while Zara and Amara followed him from behind. "Open this door," they heard again, this time with loud bangs, and Baba unlocked the door and threw the door open. "How dare you? How can you come to someone's house and be banging on the door like that? Did you catch me stealing anything? You must learn to respect your uniform," Baba raged, and Amara immediately put both hands on her head. "Baba, that's okay now," she whispered from behind him, and he looked back swiftly. "Will you keep quiet, my friend?" he barked. "We are not here to trade words with you. We got information that you kidnapped a young girl, locked her up in your room, and have been preventing her from returning home, one of the police officers said, and their eyes popped all of a sudden. Who said so? Baba questioned. Just answer the question, yes or no, asked another officer. No, I'm staying here alone with my children, Baba exclaimed. Amara noticed that a black car parked not too far from their house, with the windows tinted, with a police van behind it. Amara, bring your sister, Baba turned and said, and Zara and Amara stepped out, and then one of the police officers signaled the person in the black car, and Baba's former boss stepped out adjusting his agbada. That's her, that's my daughter, arrest him, he thundered all of a sudden pointing at Zara, and as well walking towards them, and immediately Baba was cuffed amidst struggles, and the man suddenly grabbed Zara's hand. What have they done to you? Are you okay? He asked, but Zara began to struggle with him, asking him to let go of her hand, but he wasn't ready to do so. Chidi, leave my daughter alone, Baba yelled, and the man looked at him immediately. I don't understand. Has the sickness affected your eyes too? Take him away. You will rot in jail. I will make sure of that. You kidnapped my daughter for days now, simply because your wife told you a long time ago that she was no longer interested in you, and then came to me to have a good life. You're shameless. Look at yourself and look at the girl. Does she look in any way like you or anyone in your family? Baba questioned, being dragged into the van, while Amara followed them in tears, pleading. Look at this frustrated human. How do you mean? The man asked, giggling. Go home and ask your wife. That girl you're holding belongs to me, Baba screamed after being pushed into their van. Take him away, the man yelled at the police officers while dragging Zara into the tinted car. Leave me alone. I want to stay here, Zara cried. What have they done to you? What is wrong with you? The man yelled and then shut the door of his car. Amara stood there confused, watching them drive off. She didn't even ask the officers which station Baba was being taken. It was after they left that she suddenly regained herself, stopped a Kiki rider without even having shoes on, and she asked him to speed so they could meet up with the van. Well, he did, and they finally arrived at a police station a bit far from their place. Amara had no money on her to pay the Kiki rider. She had to explain to a POS man by the station what was happening, asking him to lend her some money, promising to pay back, and he did without hesitation. She went into the station, explaining things to all the officers, and as well pleading for Baba's release, but none was ready to listen to her, saying that Baba's case was kind of twisted, because the person involved was renowned and wealthy. One even advised her to go and beg him, but over her dead body. Baba was in the police station for days. In fact, Amara had no hope. They didn't even allow her to see him. A few days later, she was already tired of everything, and she sat in the living room, thinking about how to end it all, when the living room door opened and lo and behold, it was Zara with her bags and in tears. Amara stood up immediately on seeing Zara, and she wiped her tears with the back of her hand and started to walk slowly to her. Zara, what is it? She asked with eyes glued to her. The truth is finally out, Zara said amidst tears. What truth? She sighed with head bowed, and then she raised her head. Mommy confessed to Daddy, telling him that I'm not her biological daughter. Amara's jaw dropped in awe on hearing that, and she then grabbed Zara's hands. So what did he do? He didn't say anything, he just told me to pack my things and leave, but he said nothing to Mommy. And then Amara sighed and gave Zara a hug. I just hope that that man won't end up hurting her. This one he's refused to say anything to her. Amara whispered to Zara's ear while giving her a hug, and then Zara withdrew immediately, as if she suddenly remembered something. Where's Baba? Baba? Amara asked, looking into Zara's eyes, and she nodded. Baba is still at the police station now. What? Since then? He's still there. Oh, and me, I don't have money. I was even here thinking of how to end it all when you showed up. Let's just say God brought you on time to avert whatever was going on in my head, because if you had wasted some little time, you would have met my dead body. God forbid, Zara exclaimed, snapping 2 fingers around her head. Come, let me show you something, she said, dragging Amara's arm, carried the smallest bag she came with, and then opened it, and lo and behold, Amara saw the kind of cash she had never seen before in her entire life. Where did you get all this? Amara queried with popped eyes. The man. After packing my things and was about leaving without saying a word to him and Mommy, he called me back and gave it to me. He said it's 5 million naira. What? 5 million what? Amara screamed in exclamation and then covered her mouth. Let's go get Baba out, Zara said, zipping the bag, but Amara stood there confused. Are you sure that there won't be any problem if we touch this money? Amara queried again to be sure. How? When he was the one that gave me the money. Was he under the influence of alcohol when he gave me the money? Zara asked, and they both burst into laughter. Let's get going to the station, she said, dropping the bag containing the money. I don't understand. Are we going to leave this money here like that? Amara queried with a dropped jaw, pointing at it. Yes, I have some money in my handbag. We can sort the police officers with that, Zara replied. No, please, we are carrying this bag along. I don't want any stories. All these boys in this neighborhood, no one knows what they are capable of doing. Don't worry, I will carry the bag if you can't carry it, Amara said, carrying the bag, and Zara couldn't stop laughing. You're laughing, it's not funny. Let's go, Amara added, wearing her slippers. Okay. Do you have an account? Zara asked. Yes, I do, Amara said, nodding sporadically. Okay, let's go to the bank and deposit the money in your account first, before going for Baba. Are you serious? Amara asked. It was as though she was dreaming. Yes, Zara said, and without wasting time, they left for the bank to deposit the money. After depositing it, they left for the police station, but the officers asked them to invite Baba's boss before Baba would be released to them. Okay, said Zara. She brought out her phone from her pocket and called Baba's boss, who then told Zara that he was going to put a call across to the DPO so Baba could be released. To their surprise, just a few minutes after the call, the DPO ordered that Baba be released, and Baba walked out of the cell looking so weak and pale. They took him home, and Baba had his bath, and Amara then prepared something for him to eat. The following day, they were having breakfast when Baba's boss showed up. Amara opened the door for him after he knocked and then asked him to come in, but he refused, asking her to call Baba. Baba came out raging in anger and asking him what he wanted, if he was there to arrest him again. But to their surprise, he began to apologize. You know that you were my best staff while you were still working with us, the boss said. So what has that got to do with this gathering? Baba barked and was in a haste to return inside, but Amara kept rubbing her chest, signaling him to calm down. I'm so sorry for ever wronging you. Please can we put what happened behind us? Actually, years ago, it was your wife that started showing interest in me. She came to my office that particular day, telling me that she never loved you and that she wanted me. Somehow, I fell for it, and I had to relieve you of your job to totally make me win her over. I'm so sorry, he pleaded. What? What did I just hear? So you two were seeing each other even before I was sacked? Baba questioned, dropping a tear. I'm so sorry, please forgive me, Baba's boss said, dipping his hand into his pocket, and then brought out a check, handing it over to Baba. This is a check of 15 million naira. I know it won't be enough compared to all the damages I've caused you, but please take it. God forbid. Take the money? My God forbid it, Baba said, and then asked him to leave. The man asked Amara to take it, but she shook her head while Zara stood there in tears. Well, the man left feeling so hurt and disappointed, and the following day, as soon as Zara woke up and went online, the first thing she saw was the news of Baba's boss's death. He had an accident while on his way home the previous day. It was Zara's scream they heard all of a sudden, jerking Amara up from sleep. What is it? What's going on? Amara asked, but Zara began to cry, covering her mouth. Amara sat beside her, putting a hand around her shoulders and started asking her why she suddenly woke up and chose to cry. But Zara turned her phone, and what Amara saw left her so shocked. She grabbed Zara's phone all of a sudden and stared at the screen to be sure she wasn't seeing something else. What? He had an accident? Amara exclaimed, and Baba walked in on them. What is it? Why is she in tears? He asked, and then Amara got up and gave the phone to him. After a few seconds, Baba too screamed. An accident? Baba queried, looking at Amara. It was an accident, Amara replied, folding her arms. If only I knew, Baba said. I still feel hurt that we didn't take the money from him, Amara said, shaking her head. What money? Baba asked with a giggle. You mean the check? Yes, Baba. We made a very big mistake not taking the money from him, Amara replied. God forbid. I will never sell my dignity for 15 million naira, someone who took my wife from me. I've forgiven him though, and I pray that God accepts his soul. But not taking that money was the best decision, Baba said, and then Baba went to Zara and put his arm around her shoulders and began to tell her soothing words. A few weeks later, the man was buried, and Zara and Amara attended his burial. As soon as they entered the house, Mommy was seated in the midst of some other women wearing a black overall and a black scarf with eyes so swollen and red. Amara greeted them without greeting her, and Mommy wouldn't stop staring at her while Amara looked away. "How are you?" Amara heard all of a sudden, and she turned. Lo and behold, it was Mommy who asked her the question, with eyes still glued to her, but Amara looked at her from head to toe, rolling her eyes and looked away again. The women there were all amazed, but couldn't ask them anything, as they too wouldn't stop staring at both of them. After the man was buried, Zara and Amara returned home. They sat with Baba in the living room, and after telling him about what had transpired, he blamed Amara for not at least answering her greetings due to the fact that she just lost her husband. "What's my business with that? Why should I feel for someone who has sold her conscience to the devil? She was so lucky I was in the midst of people. If not, I would have given her a piece of my mind," Amara retorted. "Just take things easy. I understand how you feel," said Baba. Well, they continued living like a family, but things were better since Zara came into their lives. However, even after 2 years, they still hadn't heard from Kofi, and they all became so worried. They had gone to his coach to make inquiries and to ask him if he heard anything from Kofi and his team, but he said he heard nothing. "My son is fine and will one day be back to make us proud," Baba would always say. A few more years later, Amara had expanded her fruit stall, and Zara was already in the university. Since after the burial of Baba's boss, none of them heard from Mommy or seen her. They later heard from one of her friends that she stole her late husband's money and fled to Ghana with her son when her name and that of her son weren't included in the man's will. He had willed all he had to his first wife and children. Some 6 months later, Amara was at her fruit stall when a dark-colored Jeep parked before her all of a sudden, raising dust all over her face and on her fruits. She was so pissed that after she almost choked from the dust, she walked to the car and knocked on the tinted window. She was ready to unleash the fire within her when the door opened and a young man slowly climbed down, seriously laughing with his head bowed. He looked so familiar that she stood there staring in awe, waiting for him to raise his head. He finally did, and lo and behold, it was Kofi. Amara screamed at the top of her voice that people gathered, and people who knew him stared at him, smiling sheepishly, like he had dropped from the sky. Right there, Kofi asked the people staring, and some welcoming him, to go into Amara's stall and pick as much fruit as they wanted, and in her head, Amara was like, "Is this guy crazy?" He looked so fresh, with a very fine physique, a set of white teeth, and smelled so fresh. They drove home, and as soon as Baba saw him, he danced for minutes, not wanting to stop. "I have forgotten all my sufferings. My God has lifted me," he said as he danced. From there, they all drove to Zara's school, and Kofi took her number from Amara's phone, called her to come over to the entrance of the school, saying that she had a package to be delivered to her from someone. On hearing that, Baba and Amara laughed so hard, Zara arrived, and as soon as Kofi wound down the window, she screamed on seeing him. That evening, Amara went to the market to get a few things to make pepper soup, because Kofi said he wanted it. And guess who she saw selling pap? Her mum. It was so unbelievable that Amara cleaned her eyes multiple times with her handkerchief to be sure it was her. "Amara," Mommy called, standing up. She looked so pale and dirty, with unkempt hair. "I thought they said you stole your late husband's money and ran to Ghana," Amara asked with a hand on her waist. Actually, the money was stolen," Mommy said, scratching the back of her neck, and as soon as Amara heard that, she burst into laughter. "Amara, please, What is that? If I hear my name from your mouth?" Amara raged, raising her hand halfway, and she left, but she continued seeing her in the market. A few months later, Mommy came with some elderly men to apologize on her knees and in tears, asking them to forgive her, saying that it was the devil's work. Well, they forgave her after much persuasion. She tried to come close, but they continued pushing her away. They no longer needed her. A month later, Kofi bought them a 3-bedroom duplex, and they relocated. On the day of the housewarming, they had invited all and sundry, so the compound was filled to the brim. Time for prayers, so many pastors attended, and they took turns in praying for Kofi and the family. According to the last pastor that prayed, "May his parents come forward for prayers," he asked, and Zara and Amara looked at each other. Well, Baba came out, and guess what? Mommy too walked out and stood beside Baba. They didn't invite her, and none of them knew that she was around. Kofi looked at her, turned, and took the microphone from the pastor. "I'm sorry, she's not my mother, that's my mother over there," Kofi said, pointing at Amara, and her jaw dropped in awe. "Please join us," the pastor said, and Amara slowly walked out. She was so shy that she was looking around. "Excuse us," Kofi said to Mommy, and she walked away from there, so ashamed and in tears. A few weeks later, Kofi returned to England, and when they saw him on TV playing football for the first time, they were so elated. The second time, Baba brought out the TVs in the house and had them fixed in the compound, opened the gate so wide, and people came to watch. That was how Baba was nicknamed Papa Footballer till date. Amara went back to school, from secondary, and then started schooling in one of the best private universities in Nigeria. In a tragic turn of events, Mommy died. She poisoned herself and died in her room. It took days before her corpse was discovered by her neighbors, and they later heard that her son, Zara's brother, had been in prison in Ghana. He had committed a crime. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed the story so far, please drop a comment below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification so you won't miss any updates. Thank you, and remember, we love you.